Okay, today we have Arielle and Elisa. Welcome, ladies, the co-founders of Coldpow. Lots of fun things to talk about today. I know that you guys are on like the beginning of your journey, which actually, you know what? I take that back because beginning
Mhm,
technically because you're now selling your product, but not
mhm.
everybody realizes how much time and effort and work goes into actually like building and creating the product. So like you guys have been working on this for a few years now, no?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's been quite the journey. We're going to be hitting our 4 years on April 20th.
Yep.
No way,
So
4 years.
4 years. Yeah,
That's insane.
exactly. To finally get to this point where we have three amazing products out. So yeah, it's been quite the journey. Like
Yeah.
there's so much that we can say for
Well,
sure.
let's get into it.
Yeah.
So like okay, 4 years ago, you guys I guess have been friends for a while. I know that you each have like your own expertise. So Ariel, I know that you were have a background in product development and marketing, and then Elisa is a certified health coach. So these two passions I guess kind of came together, but like where did the idea of creating this product come from?
Yeah. Well, we've been friends for, oh no, I
It's
can't,
going to be a decade,
no, I think more.
maybe
Anyways,
more.
a long time. And whenever we would hang out, I think we worked together as receptionists at a spa, and we would
Mm.
always be talking about our passions and how that would evolve. And then one day we came up with a really bad idea and then a worse idea. And then we said, okay, let's just hang out and be friends. And then all of a sudden Coldpow came to life, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it kind of kept going from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the amount of like all of our girls' nights like consist of like talking about business, coming up with different ideas and all of this. But we always had like this passion for that.
Yeah.
But I
Mm.
have to say for me, what really like brought Cold Pow to life, essentially is when I owned a cold pressed juice company. And for me, that was like such a beautiful thing. It was my
Mhm.
first business and all this, but that's what made me realize when it closed. I was like, wow,
Mhm.
love the industry. There's no money in there. However,
Why is there no
I love
money?
so it's just a really tough business to run. The amount of waste that goes down, it's so time consuming to make
Mhm.
the juices. There's
Yeah.
such a low shelf life to these juices as well. So I'm like, okay, let's bring our brains together. To me, it like kind of sparked something in me. I'm like, hey, how can we solve
Yeah.
all these issues? Because there's
Hmm.
massive challenges in that industry. However, it's a massive market, right?
Yeah, and I actually worked in a cold press juicing company as well. And I saw how much struggle it took. So
Mm-hmm.
when she's talked about, her experiences and my experiences, we just thought like there has to be a better way. And there actually was. And we've made it. And it's been not only delicious, but the benefits that we've added to the product has really kind of changed the game. So it's been really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to get into like the specifics of the product itself, but just to kind of like go back to traditional juicing. So for anyone who's like unfamiliar, I
Hmm.
personally have like a juicer at home and it's like it's a whole thing. Like you need to prepare, you have to buy all of the fruits and veggies, you got to cut them, clean them, put them in
Right.
the machine, they get juiced out and then there's a bunch of leftover stuff that you have to clean out. It's messy. Usually you're dealing with like things like
Hmm.
turmeric and ginger that like stain,
Your fingers
your
are
fingers turn
gross.
orange. Yeah.
The
So
juicer is stained.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
yeah.
Like all of these little things. So I'm curious from like a company standpoint, like I'm doing this at home, but you mentioned Ariel that you worked
Mhm.
at a cold press company. Like were they
Yeah.
just like these mass machines? Was it all kind of manual labor? How did
Yeah.
that look like behind the
Mass
scenes?
Feel
machines, manual labor,
both, yeah.
so much waste,
Yeah.
and
Not using the full fruit.
expensive. Like to
Yes.
get like, I don't know, like Lisa did it herself a lot, but so I'll let her go more into it. But like the amount of apples you would need to get enough juice, and
Oh
then
yeah.
you look on the other side and you see all the fibers and all the peels and everything just being
Mm.
thrown away. But we
Mhm.
use everything in our juices, so you're getting all the benefits, but there's so much waste. And so that's why it's so expensive, because you're using so much different types, so much fruit to get to what you want to achieve.
It takes a lot of produce in order to
Oh
make
yes.
one 12-ounce juice. It's
Yeah.
insane,
I know.
right?
Anyone who's juiced like knows.
Hmm.
It's
There's,
interesting though, it's
yeah.
like I find it always surprising like what comes out of certain fruit because like some you're like, oh wow, like that's like a decent amount. And then others it's
Yeah.
like, wait, where did the fruit go? you know?
That's very true. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Like I have so much footage of like when we were in the business, my other business, of like all this produce, and everyone's like, "Wow, you're gonna make so many juices." I'm like,
No.
7 juices
No,
later,
yeah,
that's
isn't
all
that
I made.
crazy?
Yeah, it's wild.
Like
So
even talking about like what comes out, like I don't know if you've ever tried to juice a berry, but like it's not really seen in juices. But with Coldpow, like we literally have filled with berries. You know,
Three
you can't get that in a juice, and it's all your antioxidants. So we're adding things that people are not even doing yet with cold press juicing as well, along with way more. But
yeah, so can you explain to everybody listening? So you basically created like a juicing company, but without having to do all of these like annoying things that come with juicing. So explain to everybody the essence of like the product of Coldpow and how you're able to get all of those additional nutrients in, including, you know, the stuff that we would typically throw out when juicing regularly.
yeah, so we're using the full fruit. That's as simple as it is. So instead of juicing the fruit and throwing away the other parts of the fruit, you're using everything. So they're actually freeze drying the full fruit, the full vegetables. So you're getting your actual full daily intake. So we say to people, someone said to me the other day, is it like a Crystal Light powder? No, but it tastes so full. So you're actually getting whole foods. So that's the difference. You're
But
getting the
like
whole
explain to
foods.
me the process, because like in the back of my mind I'm like, how does this come to be? I know that you guys have spent so much time developing this, making sure that it's like perfect. But like if we were to start from the beginning, it's like, okay, we have the fruit, like now what? Like how do we do it? Because we know in the traditional juicing, you put it in the machine, you get the juice, da da da. So the fact that you guys are like freeze drying it, like how does that work? Is that I don't get it.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, first of all, we have a manufacturer that does all of this for us. They
Yeah.
freeze dry all the produce, and all it does it takes out all the water out of the fruit. It
Okay.
extracts it out and turns it into vapor, which then leads you to a product that is super nutritious. It holds at least 95% of the nutrition of the produce by going through this type of process. And this process is used for astronauts for the food they use in space. Like it's a very known,
it's like dehydrating. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so,
and that's why it holds shelf life. And that's why for NASA, they do that with all of their food. They bring all their chicken, their meats, their vegetables. They don't put it into powder, but they're able to preserve it for longer periods of time.
It's the most effective way to hold nutrients, like when it comes to like to preserving the nutrients in exactly. And so we love it. I think like once we fell onto this process, we're like, whoa, okay, we're able to hold 95% of the nutrients. Like amazing. Okay, let's learn more. So we found, the manufacturer that can do this, and we were able to create these products, right?
And
how
we
did you
also
go about like
added the different superfoods into the products too. So to even amplify how delicious they are, we now have benefits like spirulina, maki berry, acai berry. And to add to Elisa's point, it wasn't like so quick, it was 4 manufacturers. We started in the US, we moved to Canada, we moved around so many times because the product tasted good, but we had like how many iterations did we
we've had over 52. We've
over
had
52.
Like
52.
Oh yeah.
52.
Yeah.
We've had so many different processes, and like, we've gone through like 3 manufacturers, right? Before we found the right one. We've gone through so many different formulations. We've gone through different blends, like different food scientists. There's been so many people, amazing people on these products to create these blends, right?
Yeah.
By not only making sure it tastes good and has the consistency, but checks all the benefits, right? We want to make sure we're like we're as good as the cold press juice.
So how do you test that? Yeah. Like how does someone go about testing that? I'm curious.
So in terms of taste palettes, in terms of a bunch of sampling, in terms of comparing to the cold press juice, looking at the benefits, looking at how many vegetables and fruits, and looking at the nutritional facts, there's so many ways. But at the end of the day, it really came down to a couple things. Number one, does it smell good and taste good? Is the color beautiful? Like that green, does that green pop and make you really feel like it's a fresh juice? Because it really is when you try it. And are the benefits there? Are the benefits there for the consumer? And after doing all the rounds and testing everything, what we really notice is like, you're getting so many servings. So you're actually, we're beating them. You have more of a shelf life, you have the added fibers, you have the superfoods, and we're coming out with another one that actually has protein, healthy fats, and functional mushrooms inside. So when we look at this as like,
so good.
Eventually as a cleanse or a half day cleanse, which we can talk more about, you're actually going to be full, because you're not just drinking liquids. You're drinking liquids filled with fiber, protein, fat, and so many benefits for you as well.
So interesting. So let's talk about like building the brand and the business a little bit. You guys obviously are passionate about, the health industry. I can see that. It's very clear that the product itself, like, it speaks for itself, right? So many nutrients, all of those added benefits that, anyone who knows and loves juicing, this is kind of like a shortcut to getting all of those benefits and not necessarily having to do it yourself, which is amazing. But so let's say, you started with this idea, you had to then find a manufacturer. So like, how does one go about finding a manufacturer? Let's say someone wanted to start a product themselves, they're like, where do I start? Where do I go? I don't know what to do. Did you guys have connections? Did you jump to Google? Like, what did that process look like? Because to some, that's Amazon. Super daunting.
You'll laugh though, Elisa. We actually started off with, we got our own freeze drying machine. Okay. We were like, okay, we're going to do this ourselves. And so we got the machine, we got some fruits, and we dried the fruits.
We have footage.
It took, it took like 48 hours to do like an apple. And we're like, okay, on to the next thing. This is not going to work.
I called her. I'm like, so is it crispy? She goes, no, but maybe I should just blend it. Okay. She blends it. She goes, but it's sticking together. We're doing something wrong. We're like, we did it.
That's part of it. We still have the freeze dried today. You can make, anyways, it's a great thing to have. But yeah, how do we do it? Honestly, at the beginning, and you can continue this, but at the beginning, we just Googled, emailed, put ourselves out there. We're just like, okay, manufacturers.
Cold calling for yourself.
Oh, absolutely. And just like talking to different people and trying to see, like, we got on the phone with a few different manufacturers. Our first one was actually in the US. And then we quickly realized, what are we doing in the US? That's silly. Let's make our product in Canada. So we got to Canada. And then if you want to continue, because we did get contacts in the end.
Yeah, got to Canada. We started with another one in Canada, and we were so excited, and we had the formula. Yeah, okay, yeah. I'm kind of remembering. We had the formula.
You're like, it's been so long.
It's been 4 years.
Yeah.
It's a long time. A lot's happened during that. So we got to Canada, and we had the formula, so we were super ready. Like, we had a great product. It tasted good. We just wanted to manufacture it in Canada, and we did it. And and then they
OVM.
They actually purchased the ingredients, and the ingredients were not good. So it matters about the taste and the quality of the ingredients. So it doesn't matter if because basically when you look at a formula and a product, you have nutritional breakdowns, you have different elements that build up the juice. It's just because you're putting apples and blueberries and raspberries together, it doesn't mean it's going to taste good. So the quality of the ingredients were super important. So this manufacturer, they were great, but the way they were sourcing it wasn't making the same taste. And we were so confused. We were like, why is it not matching up? Anyways, from there, every single manufacturer has been a blessing, because they have literally led us to different people who've brought us to the finish line or where we're at now. And
it's true. We've taken different elements from each.
And then they brought us to our current manufacturer, who we have a shark on our team who's brought this to life with us. And because of him, he knew what our vision was, and he knew how to source and how to get the products, and he worked his ass off with us to get it down. So
who is this person you're referring to?
Calling out Dom.
When you're gonna watch this.
Appreciate him. He knows it.
Is this a partner of yours?
We consider him, no, he's just part of the POW squad, right? So he is the one that takes care of the product for us. Like, he is the man at the manufacturer, and he's helped us bring Coldpow to life, like really bring the blends to life from everything. Like, what else has he done?
He works. He does more than he needs to do. So
he goes above and beyond.
You have, like, his job is to, get us going with the manufacturer, and to and to get the R&D going, the research and development. But he actually sits in the lab sometimes and he'll hand make us samples because we need to try it again, because we're insane, because we're obsessed, we're perfectionists. But he'll do it, and he'll do it, and he cares.
Yeah.
And he is part of the team.
He is 100% part of the team.
I think he knows we love him now.
Yeah, no, I hope so, because he is like such a big part of all this. And I think, he's really helped. He's the connector. He gets the right food scientists. He gets the quality ingredients. He puts it all together, finds a manufacturer. He is our man. And so, and I met him for the first time because we had to fly to BC. We'll talk about maybe the challenges later, but and it was so awesome to meet him. And we were in the labs for like 8 hours just trying to fix this issue. And so he's super dedicated. To answer your question though, it was Google, but then all those people ended up like giving us contacts, which led us to this person, to the next person, to now the manufacturer we're with now.
Yeah. I think that's like a good lesson for anyone who's starting to build a brand, is like, just start somewhere, because there's like the whole analysis paralysis that can happen. It's like, if you want to do something, you're not really sure where to start, just kind of start and you'll figure it out. And like you said, you build those relationships, you build those connections along the way. And I love that you mentioned that you've kind of like learned and grown as you jumped from one manufacturer to another, because, I say it all the time, but it's like in our failures that we learn and grow. And it's like, unless we make these mistakes, we don't necessarily know like that we're doing something wrong or that we could be doing something better, So I think that it's always kind of like a blessing in disguise. And I mean, like, look at you now, look at all the product behind you, you know?
What's funny, to add to that point, like we keep saying to ourselves, thank God we kept waiting to launch. There were so many,
interesting.
Like, if we would have signed earlier, then we had a sourcing problem. Okay. So like, let's say we wanted to create the blend, but we wanted to click go now. Well, in that month, they were running low on a certain crop and we couldn't get it. So then if we would have placed our purchase order for this, what would have happened? We wouldn't have been able to refill our stock. Every single time we paused, thought it through, and used our brains, we really were able to get better with our process. So it's been a nice learning curve. And I guess advice I'd say is like, listen to your intuition when it comes to making these decisions, because your product, it's your baby. So you know what you got to do, and you just have to trust your gut when you're starting a company, at least. Yeah.
It sounds like you guys practice a lot of patience too, because it's so easy to kind of like get ahead of yourself and just kind of want to get your product out there. And I feel like this is like a debate. People can probably stand on like one side or another, and I get both perspectives, but one person will typically say like, don't wait till it's perfect, get it out there, and then like make adjustments along the way, and like listen to the feedback of your audience. And then others will say, like, don't launch until it's perfect. So I think it's like somewhere in between. It's like, obviously it has to be at a point where you're proud of it, you think it works, and like you're ready to get that feedback. But obviously you don't want to like have your debut be a complete flop, because then you're going to destroy the potential like brand recognition that you're hoping to build, right? So it's like those things are important, and like it might not be perfect, but it can be like very close to it. So it's interesting to see and hear you guys say like, we waited because we didn't feel like the timing was just right. And a lot of other people might just kind of jump the gun and throw it out there. But I mean, depending on the situation and the details, it could be that, if you launch something that wasn't really market ready, that it could have, flopped and not hit home. You kind of only really have like one chance to have that first introduction and that first impression. Brands all the time, they'll rebrand. That's a thing. Yeah. But when you're just starting out, like it's a little bit more sensitive because you want to put your best foot forward, right?
Yeah, exactly. You want to make that impact. We're aware that the product's going to evolve. We want it to evolve. We want to get better. Absolutely. Yeah. It has to. Exactly. And so you're saying the perfect thing. It's exactly that. It's just like there might be a right timing. We want to have an impact, but we are so ready to hear feedback, and we're so ready to like keep perfecting the product, right? We want to hear what people have to say. Yeah. We're excited about that.
But the thing that we did differently, and people laugh at us for this, is that we built all of our marketing before even trying the product. So in that time frame where we were just like waiting for the product to be perfect. And let me tell you something, she's a good push for me. She's like, it's good. It's good. I'm like, are you sure? Like she's a good reason why, like we click go quicker, because I could be in my head So we really balance each other out.
That's good.
But the marketing aspect, like we were building content before we even had a product. We had people loving our brand before they tried it. So that was kind of scary too. Like people were already excited about us, but they didn't even know how it tasted. So
we had different reasons, right? To get some funding and we were entering, and I'm sure you might even ask that question, to like enter certain competitions, and like we're not people that come from money. Like we really raised everything on our own, and so we had to create this presence early before having the product in hand, which was such a challenge. It was so hard. But we loved it.
For sure. And I'm curious to know like what those challenges are. And I think it's important for anyone listening to know, like, if you are planning on launching a business, whether it be a product or service, but I do think that this resonates a little bit more with product-based businesses, is the pre-launch phase. Because like you said, when you launch, I think, especially entrepreneurs who are doing this for the first time and who have never like dipped their toes in this. And I've seen it firsthand where, someone launches a product and they're like, they just expected everything to fly off the shelves. And I'm like, well, how did you think that was going to happen? Like no one actually knows about your product. Maybe you spoke to your friends and family about it. Maybe you posted it on Instagram to a few hundred followers, but like, that's not what's going to sell out your inventory. And so by creating that hype, that early hype, that's really the pre-launch phase that you guys are saying is just as important as launching, so that when you do launch, you're in a good position and people are already interested. You've already intrigued them and they're ready to buy and actually try your product. So the whole like concept of pre-sales, getting people excited is super important, which kind of like raises the stakes too, because now they have expectations and you're crossing your fingers that like they're being met. So out of curiosity, you guys are now selling your product, correct?
Yeah,
correct.
And so how has the feedback been so far?
We're so happy.
Good.
We've been getting honestly, Alyssa, we've been getting so much great feedback, and we're blessed. We're so happy, and it's extremely validating. We're getting some good feedback, but it's been it's just been very positive. Like we don't have much.
I would say like what's been helping drive this is like seeing people doing repeat orders, or seeing someone who would order Berry Boom. Gonna just bring these babies out here.
Bring it in.
Like someone who'd be ordering Berry Boom, and then what we would do is we'd give a free little sachet of the Kale Crush in the pack, and then someone then goes and orders a Kale Crush because they love it, and then they can't decide what they want. So what's been, and this is how it comes. So there's 7 in a box, and they just go into the water. Yeah, and we could even do a little demo after.
I'm down for
you want some Kale Crush? We're gonna do a little demo.
But literally, you get a Coldpow bottle, and we even put the line right here. So just fill the water.
For anyone who's listening, they just whipped out their water bottle. They're about to make a juice
filled with water.
Just happened to be ready.
I was literally telling her, I'm like, I want to Kale Crush during this meeting. She's like, oh, we'll make it during.
We'll do it a demo. So it's super simple.
Yeah, it's super simple. You basically just have to open the sachet. So you just take a tear on the sachet. Very simple.
It's like ASMR right now.
Love it.
And then you pour it. And in here, you're getting 3 servings of vegetables from kale, wheatgrass, bollygrass, and spirulina. And then you're getting a serving of fruit from pineapple, and apple, mango, dates. And it tastes so good. Only you could taste it on a podcast.
This is straight up ASMR.
Good. I'm happy.
And
it looks good. And it's like a bright green. It's super pretty.
It's pretty.
I think the lighting is not doing us benefits here. I think I put it on a little too bright, but
it's okay. Anyone who's listening, we're gonna like shoot them a link to your website and they can take a look themselves. But your branding and stuff is great too, and it shows that you guys put in the time and the energy up front before having that product ready to go, which I think is super smart. So I want to backtrack a little bit though, because you mentioned like investors. So you guys went and presented and pitched in front of, I guess, angel investors, and like, what did that process look like?
So to go back to our presentation. So I think we'll start off with what I told you before the presentation.
Yeah.
Lisa and I were
She did this to me.
about to pitch for a competition, a startup competition.
Okay.
And we were all ready to go. I walk into her place because she's really close to the place we were pitching. And I'm like, I have something to tell you. And she freaked out. And I told her I was pregnant. So at that point, I was 3 months pregnant. And I pitched, and I was like so nervous. I had to tell her. And anyways, we pitched. We were part of, I think, 3 or 4 or 5, not sure, people who made it to the end of the competition. And we were able to get some funding.
Amazing.
I
Congrats.
just want to add a little something. There's 300 companies that are part of this.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Which was really cool. It's for anyone that's listening, like PME, excellent. You know, they're known to fund startup businesses, and so that's where we started.
But it was a lot of work. Like they required a lot of hard work, and they were very detailed with their questioning, the business plans, the financials, all things that we had to forecast without really understanding our business model just yet, but knowing that we had something that we were working on, and it kind of got us going.
Oh, definitely.
And
definitely.
And yeah, so that was actually the first pitch we did, and then towards the I guess when I was 9 months pregnant, ready to pop, we pitched a bunch of other investors too. And so we didn't end up landing those, and they gave us some incredible advice: show some sales, get your price point down,
prove your concept.
And they led us to so many other people who gave us even more amazing advice about how many products to launch and how to utilize them on social media. And as I said, every person helped us get to where we are. So we are, we're still working off of the money that we raised ourselves. So we own the whole company, and we are giving it all right now. So yeah.
That's amazing. It's important for people to remember that, like, that feedback that you get along the way is so valuable and so useful. And I think, it's easy for people's egos to kind of like get in the way, and for people to think like, oh, my product's the best. And like, I think one thing to remember is if you're starting a business, it's very unlikely that the plan that you envisioned or want or like started with is what you're going to end up with, right? Like businesses constantly, they constantly change, they constantly evolve. And so if you're stuck in your ways and you're like, no, this is how it is, and you're not willing to kind of take that advice, then I think you're kind of like bottlenecking yourself and preventing yourself from growing and like being a better company, especially doing this the first time around. I can't imagine how much you learn, how much valuable feedback you guys got from those initial like presentations. I would love to have been like a fly on the wall. Like I love watching Shark Tank, and like just even it's like such a little snippets. It's such a little snippets, but I feel like you still even learn so much by watching that. And those presentations in the Shark Tank are like an hour long, and we see it within what, like 7 minutes, maybe 5. So
No,
sure. I mean, there's been just we've been so blessed with the amount of just the amount of help that we've been getting, even with like our close family members to like other people that own businesses. Everyone's been so amazing with getting involved and helping us launch this thing. And on top of it, yes, all those investors like giving us those like incredible advice, right? So it's just been a lot of challenges, but a lot of learning, a lot of growth. And we were just so open to the feedback. And
I think you have to realize, and I think this is in business and in life, you can't know everything, and someone will always have something that's gonna, help you. So just be open-minded. Like, we're playing this game now. We're just saying yes. Like, you want to meet this person? Yes, sure, no
yes
problem.
To all things.
Like, just say yes, because that one conversation or one point, we met someone the other day who said, I want to heal the world. And I looked at Elisa, I'm like, I love that. I'm going to start thinking that way. Like, it's just important to say yes, open your minds to opportunities. And I mean, we're still at the beginning of this, but we're just ready to, keep going and keep meeting and keep expanding. And
You mentioned challenges. So, I mean, who doesn't experience challenges? What have been some of like the biggest ones that you've faced so far, since you've technically been on the road working to get this launched over the last 4 years? Now your product's finally selling. So whether it was in the earlier phases or even upon launching, what's been kind of the biggest hurdle?
I'm going to start with one, and then you're going to go back and forth. I think for me, I think for us, the biggest challenge was definitely creating these products. Okay. Like creating these products have been such a challenge, from things not tasting right, from not getting the right ingredients, from manufacturers like abandoning us, while we've worked with them for over a year, to just creating these products were so difficult, because there's just so much that goes into that. But also, of course, we already mentioned before, like we went through 3 manufacturers to finally get to this point,
like,
right?
I was in a bad mood. We thought they were going to break up with us. We're like, oh no, like we locked in a formula and something would always go wrong,
Yeah. Something always went wrong. Like,
how did you deal with that? Like when something like that would come up, like what was your reaction? How did you guys stay level headed, and how did you stay motivated?
You know what? I'll tell you this. For me, something I always want to remember is that I have such a powerful why as to why I'm in this business, why I want this business to succeed, right? Like my why is so rooted in there. And I think that's the thing that always keeps me going and keeps me persevering. And so when I always say that to anyone, that's actually the advice I'd want to give, because I'm like, forget the rest, forget making money, whatever it is. It's like, come back to your why. So when things go wrong, come back to your root, come back to the thing that is actually making you keep going, right? That's propelling you forward. And so that's the thing that really helped me, I find, in those moments. And obviously supporting each other, like having each other has been honestly the biggest blessing. So
like we balance each other out. And to answer how I got through that is like so cliche, but I live by everything happens for a reason.
Yeah,
you do, because like,
I believe that too, honestly.
I really really do, because I mean, obviously there's awful stuff that happens in life, but you have to find the positivity through it, or else there's too many negatives that can bring you down.
Yeah.
And having a partner, like we know some people who open businesses on their own, and it's different. You have a failure, and you have a failure, or you have something that goes wrong, and you're just sitting there alone, and you're like, what do I do? Sometimes I freak out and she calms me down, and vice versa.
Yeah.
We
Thank God I have a husband. I run my business on my own. Like I fully get that. And I've interviewed so many entrepreneurs that are like co-founders and work together. And I'm like kind of envious on that relationship and having that person to lean on. But I'm lucky that like my husband, from like an emotional standpoint, is like a good support. And then one of my best friends is in the same industry. She just like works corporate. So like if ever I need that kind of second opinion, I also have her. And I've worked with like a mentor as well. But like, it's really amazing to have that support within each other, for sure.
We're in the nitty gritty together,
It definitely. Yeah. And also, let's just remember, like, I think anytime we had like a struggle, if something went wrong, we're like, okay, well, this is going to teach us something. This is happening.
What's the lesson?
Always, what's the lesson here? Like, and I think we always had that conversation. So, we ended it on a positive note.
With us, whenever there was anything, like, or if like we ever like got off the phone too quickly after, it was like, you okay? You're good? Yeah. Okay. We got this, like,
I love that. I love that emotional support. Okay. So you mentioned like manufacturing was a really big challenge in terms of like your branding, your marketing. Has anything there kind of like risen any flags, or are you guys feeling good? You're feeling confident because this is something you worked on before the launch. Now that you're launching, do you feel like that initial marketing that you worked on is still aligned? Do you feel like you need to make some changes? Like where are you guys at with that?
Branding wise, we've changed it like 10 times before we even, it's like we came up with an idea, and then we're just like, well, no, now we had so much time in those 4 years to see how brands evolve, to see how packaging's evolved, to see, we started off like here is it, everything here was not capitalized, but now they're capitalized. We changed so much during it that by the end,
in the packaging design,
packaging design, the brand design, by the launch day, we were like, let's go, we're good with it. And it'll always change and it'll always evolve. But I would say branding wise, like we're super confident. For social, Elisa can take this, but like we started one way and we're gearing another. It's just, you gotta go with what's making people react, right?
So like what is that shift? You're saying you started one way and now you're going another, because like we all know social media, especially if you're talking about like 4 years ago to now, like it has really evolved, and even like the effectiveness of it. So like what has changed, and what are you guys doing now to kind of get the word out there?
I think right now we are going more the storytelling route, more
Mm-hmm.
authentic, bringing more purpose and meaning to every like post, right? I feel like everyone, like before, I think we cared a lot about the aesthetics of things and just having really nice photos. And now
Mm-hmm.
we're like, okay, let's be raw. Let's be ourselves. Let's let our people connect to the founders, connect to the brand, and really not just fall in love with the product, but fall in love with like
The journey.
the whole journey, right? And so we're really trying to like go that route. It's challenging at times, you know, like, but we are really trying.
You have
But
to
that
be transparent, and it's hard to be transparent. Like
be real,
it's you like letting people into your personal lives. I never did that. I'm not someone who does that often, but through this, you know, you have to, and you know what, you start liking it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just feel like everything is so like saturated right now. Like I feel like buyers are just becoming so smart, right? Like people are
Yeah.
not just buying something like this. Like they really need the consumer needs to be
Educated.
really educated,
Mm-hmm.
needs to connect with the brand, needs to
Mm-hmm.
know the meaning behind it. And so I feel like that's really changed since like 4 years ago, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, the buying journey is very, very different. And now, like, if you look at the generations that are spending more, they're going to social media to do their research, right? As opposed to like Google. And then they're checking the brands, they're looking at your social, they're looking at your website, they're looking at the reviews, they're looking at the content that you're putting out. And like, that's what ultimately like pushes them to make their buying decision. And onto the transparency portion. I feel like I can kind of resonate with you where you're like, it's kind of hard because it's like you want to share, but it's like how much is too much and like how much you want to kind of keep private, especially from like a business standpoint too. Cause like personal, like obviously, like I think your personal life can still stay relatively personal, but like there's so much about like your life that's connected to your business. So like, yes, there will be some overlaps, but what made me think of or like what came up when you guys were sharing was Midday Squares. You guys know the company? I'm sure you know. So like I can almost guarantee that they're an inspiration for you.
Yeah.
You know,
nailed it.
Being a Montreal-based company, they're like super transparent on social media. They've been very, very honest about how much money they're making, they're losing, you know, how much they've been spending on investors, the issues, the lawsuits. Like it's a very vulnerable place to put yourself in because you kind of also risk people looking at you being like, oh, like they're not like a viable business, or oh, they're not successful because they're failing in this and that. But
they trust their products.
That's it. And that's what I think they've done such an incredible job at. It's like they believe in their product and what they're selling, and they're really sharing like the behind the scenes of the entrepreneurship aspect of it. So it's like, just because like they don't know 100% what they're doing and they're trying to figure out along the way and get all the right people on board to like blow this company up, doesn't mean that their product isn't amazing. So like, it's just, at least for me as an entrepreneur, seeing their journey and seeing how transparent they are, I'm like super inspired. And I'm like, wow, this is like insane to really see the behind the scenes, because it's not often that people get to see that. You just like kind of expect what things happen behind. You just don't see it, you know, like you just see the brand for face value. And as someone who's in business, like I really appreciate the process. It makes me want to support them more, you know.
100%. You nailed it. They are definitely a huge inspiration to us.
No, we truly see their content, and we feel like we know them. You know, that's what you want.
You feel like you
want to buy a product because you trust the people. You know that it's not just made from. You're not just making it to make money. You're making it because it's helped us. It's gonna help people. We've made it for a reason, and it's nice to let people into your world.
Yeah, and it's not just about loving the product, right? It's like it's about trusting the company and trusting the people behind it. And so that's what that does. It creates that trust, I find. And so, I love it.
Is there anything? Shout out MBS. Is there anything you ladies feel you would do differently looking back now, whether it's, you know, to save time or energy, or now that you have this knowledge, you know, if you were to build another brand, like how would you do things differently second time around?
How would we do things differently?
I think we've kept doing things differently.
We're so in the middle of it right now. It's funny. I feel like we're just so everything. We're just learning. I feel like we would do nothing differently in a way.
I feel like let's not look into what we do differently, but maybe like how we'll grow from it. Because like I think what we realized is like, even when the product was delivered to my house, which was supposed to be 3 days later, when I was alone with the baby and I was having a freak out, I'm just like, oh, it all works out. Like, you just gotta kind of realize, like, you know what you're doing. It's gonna be hard. You have to just trust your gut, and doing things differently. We probably would just like to know that it was going to be maybe a little difficult. Like, maybe we thought it'd be a little easier, but like the products are not always perfect. But getting to the finish line took way too long.
It's
And
a wake up call.
It's a wake up call. And even when we placed our purchase order for our products, and they came in, like, they said 6 weeks, it was almost 2 months, and then it was more than 2 months, and then we had
always add like 3 weeks
pre-sales.
to
So I guess here's something we do differently. We'd add more time to our deliveries. Don't trust shipping.
Don't trust shipping.
Yeah, because we had to push our launch date. Like, we're like, okay, another week of pre-sale. But that's a good question. I think we're just
figuring it out.
We're figuring it out, and I think we're just both so open to learning and doing things differently if we need to.
On the fly. We've done that on the fly. We've had to recreate marketing material on the fly. We've had to literally cold call soy people. Like, you just gotta keep going.
Yeah, like every day you're just like, okay, what are we gonna do today?
We don't even say hi anymore. We say, did you see that? Yeah, you in the morning.
And then way later she's like, oh, and good morning.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's 6:30 a.m.
Oh my God.
I've been up for 2 hours.
Right, because like you have a kid now too. So like, how has that been, balancing everything and, having started this journey before, knowing you were pregnant, getting pregnant, having a baby, now being a mother, launching the business. Like, I think that's pretty inspiring. So is there anything that you would say to other women who might be a little hesitant to kind of jump into entrepreneurship because they want to have a family?
There's 2 things I didn't know in life. I mean, there's a lot of things, but the 2 main things I didn't know is how to be a mom and how to start a business. And I did that in the same year. And my daughter Leia is like she's amazing. She's requires a lot of work. But she's why I'm doing this, So like, when I'm, I sometimes I feel guilty that I'm in meetings. Like right now I have my husband and my mom, like, just, I hear them and trying to avoid and not go in, but you have to do for yourself also. You have to put yourself first too, because they're going to grow up and they're not going to need you as much anymore. And at the end of the day, I'm doing this for my family, and you have to just keep pushing and making sure that you're happy in your own skin and in your own bones
and with what you're doing.
And it's good for your mind. I find that like having, sometimes I go from singing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star to having an investor meeting, and it's quite funny because like my brain, I'm like, I have to disconnect, but it teaches you how to, and it teaches you patience. I bet. And I love her and I love my family, so because of them I'm here. Honestly.
Oh, so sweet.
And a business partner who literally puts up with meetings with crying babies in the background. So that's really, really helpful.
That's okay.
Really helpful.
Yeah. No, she's a superwoman, honestly.
Thank you.
She does it all. It's next level. Cannot have asked for a better partner. Like, even when you said to me, I'll never forget, you're like, I'm pregnant. There was that so much joy that came. I was like, wow, okay, that's happening.
I felt so guilty for being pregnant. I'm like, but we're supposed to launch a business.
But
right? Isn't that narrative that people think like you can't do both, or like what's going to happen? Like, I full on like had that narrative too. And I, have been kind of working through rewriting that, but it's a very, very valid and common fear. I think a lot of women have, because we're just,
do it.
That's it. Like, you could, and so many women do. And I think it's important to kind of like speak on that and like be the examples and show other women that like you can do it all, have it all, like take care of yourself and your family, build an empire and build a family, like all of the things.
It's Elisa on her way over to my house. She said to me, we have a good mindset. And like, when you said that, I said to you, that's important. Like, it's about mindset. If you can have a strong mind, it's not easy to have a strong mind. So that's something that like you have to work on. If you have a strong mind, you can do it. It's not easy to just, I'm not going to say it's easy to be a mom, be working all afternoon and night and being up at 5 a.m. It's not. But if your mindset's clear and you have a support system, then you can do it, So it takes work.
For sure.
Yeah.
And
Amazing.
I think we were always saying, it's like we are talking about mindset. I think that's part of being an entrepreneur. It's like you're, especially at this part of the business, like you're working for sure another job and then you're doing this at night, or your mom working a job and you're doing this at night. Like it is so difficult. And
She is working her ass off too. She's doing another job. She's it's not just, we're trying to get to just one, but I'm just sorry to interrupt, but like you deserve some credit as well.
Thanks,
like, she's killing herself too.
Thank you.
Because I have a daughter doesn't mean that.
No, I appreciate you. No. I think like I'm okay. We're in our hustle era right now. It's totally fine. We're building. But I want to say like I'm huge on mindset work. Like I don't know what I would do without like my journaling every morning to take some time to just keep making sure that this is strong, because we're working huge hours and there's so much uncertainty. There's so much on the line, but we believe in it so much. And so I really recommend always to be doing some kind of mindset work, especially as an entrepreneur, keep that strong.
For sure. On that note, we always end the podcast with what I call the mindful minute, where we ask our guests to share a piece of advice, something they've learned along their journey so far, whether it's in business or in life, that you can't necessarily learn from a textbook, and something you'd want to leave the listeners with today. So, Elisa, do you have anything you want to share?
Yeah. So I think I already talked about it. I'm going to repeat it. First of all, when it comes to business, when it comes to achieving your goals or anything like that, I really do think that it's important for you. And I said this earlier, but making sure, it's so easy to lose faith, right? It's so easy to lose faith in things, but that's why you need to make sure you're rooted in your why. And I want you to make sure that you know exactly why you're in this and write it down and look at it on a regular basis. And so I would say, make sure that is really, really like solidified, and also perseverance. That is the key word here. That's what I would say. Yeah.
Nice. Never give up. What about you, Arielle?
Yeah. Don't stop and trust yourself.
Yeah.
And like, don't be so hard on yourself. My God, we all are so hard on ourselves all the time. Like I always say, like, I'll figure it out, because you will. And if in that moment, just stop, think, and don't overreact, and just know that you're in this for a reason and you're going to figure it out. Just keep pushing, I would say
every day demands growth. Every day. I'm like, yes, that's so true. Yeah. And let's welcome the failures, right? Let's welcome the failures. And I know we hear this all the time, but it cannot be more true.
We live it.
It cannot be more true.
Yeah.
And I hate sounding like that. Like, oh, everyone says it, but it's true. No, it's the truth. Yeah.
I know. It's interesting. I feel like as we've gotten older, it's like a lot of the same kind of like sayings keep popping up. And you're saying like, oh, like I don't want to say it because it sounds like cliche or this or that. Like it's, you know, but the thing is, it is the truth. And I think that's why we keep saying it, is like, and, we're in our 30s, and that's a very different story than someone who's in their 60s even, and I feel like personally, and it sounds like it's similar with you ladies, is like the growth and the mindset and the wisdom that you gain over time. It's like really cool to experience. You kind of like look back at life and where you come from, and you have this like level of pride and excitement for the future, like where you've gotten, and like I guess like where you can go, like the opportunity that exists. And the mindset piece, I think, is super important. I agree. Like that's a big reason why the Mindfulpreneur podcast exists, is like to build businesses mindfully. And it's like, yes, we might be sometimes in our hustle culture and this and that, but taking care of ourselves, taking care of our minds, making sure that we're happy so that we can also, support everyone in our circle, whether it's our business partners, our families, our friends, strangers, clients, whoever it may be. So all those things are valid and so true. And it's been so great having both of you on. Thank you so much for your honesty. And I'm so stoked to see where the brand is going to go. I know you guys are going to kill it. So let everybody know where they can find you guys on social and where they can go to buy and test out your product.
Yeah. So you can find us on Instagram at Coldpow Juice. Check us out there. And already on there, you'll see a link that will bring you right to our website, which is coldpow.com. Super simple. It's right there.
And you need to stop juicing.
I need to stop juicing.
You need to
Well,
stop
hook it up,
doing
lady.
that.
We're sending you over something.
We're sending you something. Yeah.
Amazing. I'll definitely be a taste tester and then let everybody know when our episode comes
Please.
out.
Amazing.
I honestly I love doing that, and I would be so happy to support you ladies. Congratulations on all of the hard work coming to fruition. And for anyone listening, check out their website, buy their product, and let us know what you think. That's it for today.
Team Pow.
Bye.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.